everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. My name's Alice and today's video is my second Victober vlog. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be starting another vlog. If you've seen my vlog last week, you'll know that I tried to read 100 pages a day for Victober and I didn't succeed, but I have now started so many books that I do need to keep reading this week and get some of them finished. So hopefully this vlog will be about my efforts to do just that. I actually started this vlog on Sunday, but today is Wednesday and I've just realised I haven't actually done an introduction to the vlog yet. So I thought I would update you on where I was with my reading on Sunday and where I am on my reading now. Oh, and then we're going to see some footage from the other days this week. So if you watched my last vlog, you will know that I started too many books last week. I started Wilder's Hand, which I started quite early on in the week, and then I had to put this one down and just leave it to one side for a bit because I felt like I had too much on the go. So I'm still in the same place with this as I was last week. I'm at the start of chapter 4 and I haven't got any further with that one. I also haven't got very much further with Gothic Tales. At the weekend I started the short story, which is actually probably the longest short story in here, Lois the Witch, and I have made progress with Lois the Witch at the weekend, but I haven't finished it yet, so I am way behind in the Gothic Tales read along at the moment, but I don't mind too much because it's short stories. I can catch up on them hopefully. Thirdly, I started an audiobook of Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. Haven't made an awful lot of progress on that either because I've not had much time where it's been a good time to listen to an audiobook, so I've mainly been listening to it in bed, and when I listen to an audiobook in bed it tends to be 5 minutes a day, so I don't make much progress, but hopefully I'll listen to a bit more of that in the rest of the vlog and make some progress with that because I was really enjoying it. It's a really funny book so far. Now we come to my two buddy reads. I've been buddy reading The Tenant of Wildfell Hall with Nikki at Red Dot Reads. I'll link her channel in the description down below because I absolutely love Nikki's channel. Yeah, really enjoying reading this with Nikki. We've been talking about this in quite a lot of detail and reading 4 chapters a day. So I had got a little bit behind on this. I think that happened at the weekend because... No, Harry, you can't have The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So I think we'll hold this over here. Yeah, so Nikki and I are really enjoying this book, even though it's quite a difficult read in places. There's some quite unpleasant stuff happening to the characters, and there are some very despicable characters in this. But it's a really enjoyable book and far different than I expected. So really enjoying reading this one. I did get a little bit behind. It might have been Monday when I got behind actually. Anyway, I'm up to date now, but I still need to read 3 chapters today and check in with Nikki. So after that, we've only actually got 5 chapters left. This one should be finished this week and it's been a real pleasure of a read. Really enjoying The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So I'm glad I read it with Nikki because we've had great chats about it and I'm glad we're reading it because it's absolutely brilliant. Secondly, I've been buddy reading Hawksmoor by Peter Ackroyd. This is actually a book published in the 80s, so not Victorian, but it is a very interesting, fascinating story. I'm buddy reading this with Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads and Sandy at Ms Reads a Lot. I'll link both their channels in the description down below. They both have fantastic bookish content, so I'd urge you to check them both out. I've been really enjoying talking about this with Greg and Sandy as well, but sadly they've both obviously not started 6 books at once, and therefore they've both now finished it. So I'm hoping to finish this one today as I'm only 2.5 chapters from the end. So I'm hoping to finish those 2.5 chapters today so that I can talk about the ending with Greg and Sandy. And that will be a book off this big list of books I'm currently reading. Because unfortunately on Saturday, I also thought it would be a good idea to start another book. 5 books isn't enough, is it? No, let's read 6. So I haven't committed to reading this complete collected works of Oscar Wilde. I'm actually reading from this The Picture of Dorian Gray. And there's a read along going on with this one, which is being hosted by Claudia at Spinster's Library and Jack at Spread Bookjoy. Both of those are channels that I really enjoy watching, so I will link both of them in the description down below. They're hosting a read along of this over the next week or so, and I wanted to start at the same time. So I did read the 2 chapters on Saturday and I did read the 2 chapters on Sunday and really enjoyed them. However, I haven't had time to pick this up on Monday or yesterday because busy and far too many books on the go. I'm really enjoying the Picture of Dorian Gray so far and I hope I continue to do so, but I have just had to not read it for a couple of days so that I can catch up on the Tenant of Wildfell Hall. As you can tell, I've got rather a juggling act going on with 6 books on the go. My comfort zone is probably 2 or 3 books on the go at a time. I usually have 1 audiobook and 1 physical book on the go all the time. Sometimes I'll have 2 physical books on the go, especially if one of them is non-fiction or one of them is, say, a classic. I might read an easier book alongside a classic. I have never ever started 6 classics at once and it's feeling a little bit much at the moment, so hopefully today I will finish Hawksmoor and we'll be down to 5, and I think probably tomorrow or the next day Nikki and I will finish our buddy read of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So the lesson I've learnt for next Victober is to not start lots and lots of buddy reads at the same time. On to what I've been doing this week apart from reading. Going to show you some footage now of a walk I went on Sunday. I decided to take a book to the local free library. The local free library I have spotted on my walks during lockdown. It was actually set up during lockdown and it's just lovely. So what happened was I had borrowed a book from a friend and she said she didn't want to have it back. She'd like me to donate it or pass it on in some way. So I decided to take it down to the little free library to get it out of the house and let someone else enjoy it. I'll show you the little free library and I'll show you me putting the book in it. What I love about this little free library is that Lucy, who has created it, has also created a little fairy house full of children's books, which is just absolutely so cute and lovely. So, and I'm also going to show you my walk back home, which was through the woods, and I filmed a little bit of walking in the woods footage for a slightly not spooky October walk in the woods. That was Sunday. On Monday I went to my mum's house to visit my mum and we decided to film a little bit of footage together, which we've never done before. So here's, in this next clip, you're going to see me and my mum talking about Victober and talking about the book that my mum has read to join in with Victober. So here we are. Hi everyone, I'm here at my mum's house today and I thought we would film a little bit about Victober because mum has been joining in as well. So how have you been getting on with Victober, mum?
I've been reading Middlemarch.
And was it your first time reading Middlemarch?
No, I've had many attempts at reading Middlemarch, but this time I'm very pleased to say that I actually managed to read the whole thing. I think it's 785 pages.
And did you enjoy this book?
Well, there's a lot about it that I don't like. There's parts that I do really like, but I did find it incredibly hard to read because although I'm used to reading Dickens, and I love reading Dickens, and people often complain that he has really long sentences and really long paragraphs and uses 20 words where half a dozen would do. I think I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, I've definitely said that before.
Well, then you don't want to try George Eliot because she uses like 500 words where 10 would suffice. My concentration isn't what it was, and I did find I was having to go back and reread things because I'd just lost the sense of what it was all about. I wasn't really interested in the reform bill and how it was affecting people in the countryside, people in the towns. I know I should be, but I wasn't. I really like reading about people and what happens to people. Psychologically, you do get some real insights into the people in it. The story is about Dorothea Brooke and her immediate family and what happens to her. But there's also stories about other people in the village and in the town as well.
And you said it was Dorothea's story that you actually really did enjoy.
I did, because all the time I was having to read about what was happening on the land and what was happening with people's buildings and things like that. I thought, I just want to know what's happening with Dorothea, because she just seemed to be the character who was the most interesting person, and I just really liked her story, and the choices she made were not necessarily the best choices for her, but she was somebody who was trying to do good in the world.
Would you recommend Middlemarch to anybody doing Victober?
Yes, I would, because, well, I've always been told what a great book it is, and I wouldn't say that I loved it. I'm glad I've read it. I'm very, very glad I've finished it.
It wouldn't be one you'd want to reread again and again?
Well, people do.
Because I know you've read a lot of your Dickens over and over again.
Yes, I would. And Dickens is a very different writer.
I think as soon as I started listening to the audiobook of Our Mutual Friends this month, it just made me want to put down all the other stuff I'd picked up and just listen to Dickens, because he's so different to me from all the other Victorian authors. Like, I hadn't read that many Victorian authors, so I don't know, I suppose I thought maybe Dickens was typical of them, but listening to Dickens and the way he writes these hilarious characters in Our Mutual Friend, it's just, there's nothing quite like Dickens.
No, and when you said you were listening to the audiobook of Our Mutual Friend, I thought, I really want to just go and get that off the shelf and read it again, because I think that's probably my favourite Dickens. But when I read Dickens, I think, why do I ever bother reading anything else? I really do. And I mean, I know there are people, I've met people and I've heard of people who don't read anything else except Dickens.
Read Dickens.
They just
over
read Dickens
and over again.
because that's enough.
There's a lot of variety in Dickens, isn't there? So
there's a huge
could
variety.
keep yourself going on his books for quite some time.
Yeah. It was interesting for me to read this and not exactly compare it to Dickens, but to see how very different. I mean, I think this was written in about 1870, 71, 72, so it's a bit later than Dickens.
Yeah. So you enjoyed your participation in Victober a bit?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on the channel.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So that was me and my mum discussing the book Middlemarch, and I hope you enjoyed that and enjoyed my mum's guest appearance. Thanks, Mum, for agreeing to come on the channel. I really had a great laugh talking to you about Victorian literature, and I thought it would make a change for you all to see a guest star who was not Harry. Anyway, so yeah, yesterday was a busy day. I had an appointment, and I thought that the appointment I would probably get to do a lot of reading, but I only managed about one chapter of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, so it wasn't as arduous as I thought. That was yesterday, and today it is Wednesday. And what I've been doing so far this morning, apart from reading Hawksmoor, is making some bread. And I'm not impressively making some bread, I'm just making it in a bread maker. So hopefully I'll show you on the screen now the ingredients. So I am making a white loaf, and I'm using strong white flour, sugar, salt, butter and yeast, and it will also contain some water. So here's some footage now of all the dry ingredients are in and the butter is in. I'm just going to add the water now, and I'm going to put the pan of ingredients into the bread maker and set the timing. All the ingredients are in this now apart from the yeast. So once I've closed the lid and set the program to bake a rapid loaf in 2 hours, I'm going to put the yeast into the lid section where it will drop in later. If this bread has worked out, hopefully the next bit of footage I will show you is some bread coming out of the bread maker to cool. if the next bit of footage is not bread, I probably will cut this whole thing if the bread doesn't work out. So let's hope the bread rises and works out so that I can show you it. That's all for now. I'll speak to you again soon. It's now Thursday afternoon and I thought I would check in with you because exciting news, I have actually finished not one but two of the books. So yesterday, as I predicted, I finished Hawksmoor by Peter Ackroyd. This is a book from the 80s and it is absolutely bizarre. So having finished this, I checked in again with Greg and Sandy, who I've been reading the book with, and they were pretty mystified, as was I, and we've since read some reviews of this book online and it seems like we're not the only people who were absolutely mystified by it. So a little bit about this book. It has two timelines. One is back in the 18th century and one is in present day, so I guess the 80s. In the 18th century storyline, we follow an architect called Nicholas Dyer who is involved in the building of some churches and has a bit of a shady side too. In the present day, we're introduced to a series of murders and the detective who is investigating them, who is called Hawksmoor. As Hawksmoor's storyline unfolded, instead of becoming more and more clear, as you would expect with a murder mystery, I would say everything became less and less clear, but I won't spoil the book for you, so I think the less said about it the better. I don't actually know how I feel about this book yet, so I'm going to give it some thought ready for my wrap up at the end of the month, because I don't have a clue yet how I feel about this one. So interesting. So I finished that yesterday and I then went on to read this morning. I've been reading the last 5 chapters of the Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I checked in with Nikki yesterday. We're going to be checking in tomorrow, but I have gone ahead and read my 5 chapters and found out what happens in the end. I'm very, very pleased with this book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I would have to go as far as to say that I think this is my favourite Bronte so far. So I've read Jane Eyre and I've read Wuthering Heights. One I love and one I really, really dislike. This I think I probably like more than both. So well done, Anne Bronte. It's a very different book, but it's one I've thoroughly enjoyed reading. So really pleased with this one. And I'm looking forward to my final buddy read check-in of it tomorrow. Also yesterday I managed to catch up on The Picture of Dorian Gray. I was 2 days behind, so I had 6 chapters to read instead of 2 chapters yesterday, and I managed to read all of that, so I'm up to date and we're about halfway through the book now. So today I've got chapter 11 and chapter 12 to read, and it's really getting very interesting, getting a little bit more like I thought the book might be. I also had time to read a tiny little bit more of Gothic Tales, but I'm still on the story Lois the Witch at the moment. I will check in with you again very soon, but now that's 2 books finished, so I've only got 4 that I'm reading at once, which has given me a great feeling of relief that some of the books have got finished. I'm making slow progress with Our Mutual Friend still on audiobook. I did listen to some of that this morning, so I feel like I'm moving forward with that one as well. It's now Monday and I thought we'd have a final check-in for this vlog, as I didn't check in at the weekend, just to let you know what progress I've made. So I've finished The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I really enjoyed. It had such a good ending, such a great payoff. I had enjoyed most of the book anyway. There's some really shocking moments. It's a nice quick read and quite well paced. Really good one, and I finished that a day ahead of schedule, so that's brilliant. I've also made some progress on Gothic Tales, although I actually did make that progress today, so it is technically in a new week. I've finished Lois the Witch and I've finished The Crooked Branch. Lois the Witch, I really enjoyed that story, and it's probably my favourite in the collection so far, so that was a good one, and I enjoyed The Crooked Branch as well. So my main read that I've got left for this month, excluding my audiobook of course, is Wilder's Hand by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. I'm working really hard on finishing this by the end of the month, so you can see here I have marked pages to let me know where I need to get up to on each day, and I then immediately didn't get up to that page on Saturday, but I will keep going with this one, and I really want to get it finished by the end of the month because it would be another one ticked off my own physical TBR. And as a final note, there are 2 other things that I want to read for spooky season at the end of this month, and I've saved them for this time of year. So we have The Signalman by Charles Dickens, which is a ghost story. That one's very short, so I'm hoping to read that anytime this week that I can fit it in will be great. Also for Halloween, I'm going to be joining in with a group read of Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. We're having a group discussion of this on Sunday, so I do need to get this read before then, although I have read it before. Those are my reading plans for the rest of this week. This will be my last check-in for Victober before my wrap-up, so I hope you've enjoyed this somewhat unusual Victober vlog where I tried to get as many of my books finished as possible. I think I've done fairly well, as I'm now down to 3 books that I'm reading at once instead of 6. So we've halved the amount of books in a week. That's great news. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, I hope you'll give it a like, and do consider subscribing if you haven't already. I talk about books here on BookTube on a very regular basis. So I hope to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.